Hi everyone, my name is Eugene, and with this video I'm starting a series called AI versus Artist, where I will try to compete with AI.
You serious?
The rules are simple. To keep things fair, I ask ChatGPT to act as a client and generate a short concept for an illustration with specific parameters and mood. Then, I give AI a chance, in this case Gemini, which uses Nana Banana for image generation, to create an image based on that prompt. After that, I try to draw my own version of the illustration using the same brief. At the end, ChatGPT will be the final judge as well.
I am the law!
Alright, that's enough talking, let's get to the fun part. So here's the prompt for today. It's a rural bus stop on a rainy evening. Feel free to pause the video if you want to read the whole prompt. Well, this is not what I was hoping for, because to be honest I don't feel very confident drawing overcast scenes and rain. But first let's see how Gemini deals with this task. And here's what Gemini came up with. First of all, I have to say, it's not bad. Honestly, it's unsettlingly good. I don't like it for a few reasons, but overall the image feels cohesive. I also don't see any obvious mistakes, at least not at first glance. To me it's a bit boring, simple and kind of dull, but let's leave the final judgment to ChatGPT. So I guess now it's my turn, right? So I start here with a rough color sketch. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend not skipping this stage, and actually invest more of your time in it. It will save a lot of time and energy in the future. Just believe me, even if you think you don't need this, even if you think it's not important, you do need this, and this is important. So this is the sketch we ended up with, and now we move on to detailing. For the sky I use one of the standard rough brushes and the smudge tool. That's it. I also paint the background trees the same way I do this with clouds, and for pretty much everything else I mostly use a round brush. For bushes and trees I use the same brush with tweaked settings. A little bit of adding details on utility pole and street lamp itself. Since the frame is metal, I use gradients on almost every part. Drawing it was pretty boring, to be honest. I also use only round brushes here. And here comes my favorite part, adding details, surface imperfections. I really like to do this. Here I thought that rain streaks on the glass is a good idea, and surprisingly the process itself was very satisfying. So for the tree, basically the same approach again. First I use smudge tool, then I use a modified brush for foliage, and a hard round standard brush for more detailed rendering. Then I paint the bush the same way. After that I add reflection on the wet leaves, as well as reflected light from the street lamp. The rain is just vertical lines with Gaussian blur and motion blur applied, and In some places I emphasize a few raindrops where they catch the streetlight. For the road part, there's 2 layers here. A mirrored background layer to simulate puddles, with a matte layer and a texture on top to represent asphalt. Then I add reflected light from the street lamp and some highlighted small stones as well. To create the water ripples, I make a separate document, randomly filled with circles, invert them, blur them, and overlay the result. Then I add more details again. So in the end, this is the image I got. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with it, but now let's move on to the final evaluation part. So we have reached the final part where ChatGPT evaluates our images. To keep the experiment fair, I numbered the images, matched their resolution as closely as possible, removed all metadata, and made sure the file names don't reveal anything. Next, I write a prompt asking ChatGPT to create honest evaluation criteria for the 2 images strictly based on the original prompt. So the question is, who's the winner after all? Let's find out. And here are the results. If you want to take a closer look at how the points were awarded, feel free to pause the video. I scored 8.9 points. The AI scored 7.4. And here you can see just a brief summary of why ChatGPT preferred image number 2 over image number 1. Well, this time the human wins, and I really enjoy this fact. So that's all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this challenge with me, and see you next time.